Okay, so in part two of our lesson, we're going to cover some more background attributes and some more things that you can do with it. In the last lesson, I told you that I don't use images very often, and if I do, I use the ones that can be repeated and are more patterns than images. And I'm going to show you an example of that and different attributes along with that you can use with the background. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and start my background CSS, and you've seen that I left these two tags in place and I deleted everything that's in the middle just to save us some time. So here we go with the next tag, and it's going to be body, just like last time. The curly brackets, and then background image, tag image, URL, and then the parentheses, and in quotes, images, because that's the file it's in. And I'm going to show you the image that I'm going to use. Alright, and this is the same folder that we've been working out of in my images folder. And this is the image I'm going to use, and I happen to title this one repeat image, and of course you can call it anything you want. And this particular image is a PNG, which is just another type of picture file, just similar to .gif or .jpg. This one happens to be .png, which PNGs are actually really easy to load, so that it's a good file format to use. But anyway, I'm going to open this picture just so that you can see what it looks like. Let me zoom in a bit here. Okay, so if you can see, it starts out as a blue at the top and kind of fades into a white. Right, and this, just remember that, because I'm going to show you different ways to align this image in your web browser and how things can repeat certain ways, but you shouldn't want them to repeat other ways, so forth and so on. Alright, so we're going to do this one, and this one was called, the file name is repeatimage.png. Right, close the quotes, and then I'm going to close that parentheses. And then remember, when we're done with a particular attribute, we put a semicolon. Alright, now I'm going to show you, let's say we closed it right now. So we just closed the bracket, we did the background image, we've closed the style tag, and I'll show you what this looks like. Alright, so let's go to our website, and we refreshed. Alright, and you see how how it's repeated. Alright, so this image fits really good when it's repeated side to side like this. But it looks kind of crappy when it starts getting stacked on top of each other. Alright, so you have blue to white, and then a sharp crease with the blue line, and then it starts over, and it will continue that way. Alright, so I don't really want this image to repeat this way. Alright, so I got this image so that it would be a light blue, kind of a header, and the rest of the page would be white. And so the way I do that is I need to tell it not to repeat vertically. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to go over here to our page and open this curly bracket back up again. Alright, so that we can put more attributes into this background CSS tag. Alright, so I put the semicolon here because we're done with this particular line. And you could, if you wanted, just to continue typing on this line. But for me, it's easier to keep things organized if I, after every attribute, go down a line. Right? And that's just my preference. You can do it how you want. Alright, and then I usually do another tab too to let me know that I'm still within this curly bracket. But you don't have to do that. You could have it butted up all the way against the side if you wanted. But this is just the way I do it to keep myself organized. Alright, so now I'm going to tell my browser not to repeat this image vertically. Okay, so the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to do background, tac, repeat, okay, and then a colon. And then I'm going to tell it to repeat on the x-axis only. Alright, so you remember in math, when you're doing grids, you have your x and y axis. Alright, the y-axis goes up and down, and the x-axis goes left and right. Alright, so I only want this image to go left and right, so I'm going to tell it to only follow the x-axis. And the way I'm going to do that is just typing in repeat, tac, x. Okay, and then remember, we're done with that attribute, so we're going to put a semicolon. Alright, and so far, this is all I want to do in my background tag, so I'm just going to close that tag by the curly brackets. Alright, so what we've done here is we've created more attributes to the background. Alright, so it's background image, and then along with that image, it's only to repeat on the x-axis. Alright, so this is all one tag with just a bunch of attributes in the middle. Alright, so let's save that, and I'll show you what it looks like. We'll refresh, and you see it doesn't have that crease. Alright, it only shows the image going along the x-axis, which is what I wanted, and it looks much better this way, so that my text can start, and it'll be on white space with this nice blue header. Now you can also do, if you wanted a border along the side, you could also do you could have it do, if you had a different image rather, you could have it repeat on the y-axis by simply changing the x to a y and then save it. And let's refresh. Alright, and see how it only does on this side. Alright, now you can also align this. Alright, so if you wanted this background image to actually be over here, then you can go over to your site. Okay, we only want it on the y-axis, but we want it on the right-hand side instead of the left. Okay, so I'm going to go down a line just like I did up here, and then I'm going to do background, position, okay, and then the colon, and then I want it on the left-hand side, left, and then the semicolon, let it know I'm done with that attribute, and we already have this bracket here closing it. Alright, so let's save that. We'll go over here and take a look. Oh, I've already had it on the left side. Okay, so we want it on the right-hand side. So let's do right. Save it. Go over to our website, refresh, and see how it moved it over to the right-hand side. Alright, so you can do that with any image. If you have one that repeats better on the y-axis, then put it on the y. If you have one that repeats better on the x-axis, then you can put it on the x. And this tag is how you do it. And it all goes right here in this background tag. Alright, now you can also do whether you want it fixed or scrolls with the page. And I'll show you that. So I'm going to go back to my Sophie2 picture. Sophie2.jpg. And I'm just going to let it sit on the background. So I'm going to delete all this repeat Y and the position portions. Okay. Alright, so I just left it the way it was when we had it with the Sophie. And we're going to save that, make sure I didn't mess anything up. And apparently I did. Where did I mess up? Okay, so we saved it. Apparently I didn't mess up. It was another browser issue. I don't know why my computer's been acting up like this. But anyway, so here it is. It's body, background, tag, image, URL, the image file name. Alright, and then we saved it, and then I'm going to go over here and I show you that it's back here. Alright, and it's the same way it was, so it'll keep repeating in all directions. But just for this sample, I want it to not move when I scroll on the page. Okay, so what I do is I go down another line, just like we did before. And this time I'm going to put that I don't want it to be scrolled. So the way that you use this tag is called the background attachment. So it's just background, tag attachment, and then the colon. Alright, and then you have two choices. It can be fixed or scroll. If you choose scroll, then it will move as you scroll up and down the page. If you want it fixed, then your page scrolls on top of the image and the image never moves. So in this case, I'm going to choose fixed. And by the way, if you don't use this background attachment tag, it's defaulted to scroll. It will scroll with your page every time unless you tell it to be fixed. Alright, so we're going to save that, and then I need to add just some random text to my page so that it's large enough to need to scroll. Alright, so we're going to do this, and then I'm just going to copy and paste it a whole bunch of times. Alright, and save, and then let's go check it out. Refresh, and we still don't need to scroll. Alright, so I'm going to move this up so that it requires to be scrolled. Alright, so you can see it needs to be scrolled, and as I scroll, the image doesn't move. Alright, so no matter how many times I scroll, this image will not move. Alright, so in part 3,